Well, it's 3 o'clock, and we are privileged to have in our company today the fabulous Anna de Marigny, who's all the way over in the not so sunny Galway. But it is just my joy. I can't believe you're here, to be honest, Anna. It's wonderful. So introduce yourself. Tell us, nobody has popped in yet, but the girls will all pop in. And for anybody coming in on the replay, we wish you a big welcome as well. And do pop me a little note saying replay, because I love to know who comes in later on, because I know lots of people are working nights and evenings and looking after kids and can't get in live. So Anna, tell us all about you. How did the girl, the South African lady, end up in Galway?
Well, as I was explaining just very briefly, but Anne very wisely said it's best to give the thumbnail sketch and actually keep the main thing. My roots are very Galway, very Irish. Both my parents call Galway home, but and in fact, my dad had actually gone abroad, met my mother on a trip back to Galway, written to her from all over the world, and eventually landed up, in fact, what was then in Rhodesia, not South Africa, and wrote over to her and said, come out and marry me. So he literally jumped on an ocean liner, and she met a man, I think, that she probably met on for 4 dates, and she went out, she married him, and when she fell pregnant with me, he said he's going to be a son and he's going to play rugby for Ireland, so you better go home to your mother in Galway and have him. So Granny at that stage had a shop in Dominic Street, a general store called Maloney's. She had a dairy out the back. She was a very enterprising woman now that I think of her, because Bushy Park was where she had her dairy. And in fact, my uncle's family and my cousins are still in that same land. But Granny was an amazing lady in that she actually used to bring the milk in, make it into buttermilk and cheese, and have it delivered, in fact, often delivered herself all around the Cladda. So my mother's maiden name was Maloney, and my father was Crow, Miles Crow. My grandfather was John Crow on that side, and on the other side, so very Galway. But obviously after the Bush War in Zimbabwe, we landed up in South Africa because the company my father worked for disinvested. So I grew up in Durban, South Africa, most of my life, and of course always lived with the knowledge that Granny lived in Ireland. Granny came out to stay with us for a year. My mum and dad would go back to visit the Irish relations. And in fact, it was only really, a very small stint when I was 6. The father had one last ditch attempt at the Irish rugby playing son. So my mother back to Ireland to have my younger sister. And at that stage, I was at the Prez in Galway for a year while my little sister was in her very early babyhood. But I think after the third time, he kind of gave up on the notion of rugby playing sons. So that was pretty much it.
And look at the 3 amazing women that he got. Trish Collins, another Galway girl, is saying hello to you.
Hello.
Carmen Quinn, loads of people there. It's fantastic. But I love your story, because today we decided we're going to talk about reinvention. We're going to talk about imposter syndrome. We're going to talk about self-belief. We might even talk about finding our superpowers at a certain age or after a certain age.
Love it. Yes, I'm into all of that, which is absolutely fantastic. Yes, and so it came to pass, really, that after my first marriage broke up in South Africa, my daughters were by then in their early 20s, late teens. One had just graduated from university and the other one had settled down in her first job. And my mum had moved back to Galway after my dad passed, because, she'd always had, I think, the notion that a lot of Irish immigrants have of this, rose-tinted glasses, the family back home, that kind of thing. And she'd moved back, and I just felt this need to, have a complete clean slate, come back, help mom in her older years. I'd kept in touch and I'm close to a few of my cousins. So, it was a nice notion. I didn't intend it to be a permanent move, really. But there I was, kind of middle-aged woman, a secondary school teacher by profession, and it was the arts. I was head of a drama department at a private boys' school and enjoyed that. And in fact, can credit those same boys with actually my present career, because just before I left South Africa, one of them said, "Ma'am, why don't you go on Facebook?" And I said, "No, Facebook is for teenagers. It's rough for me." "Oh, no, you should. And then we can see what you're doing in Ireland." So it was really, that was that was how I got onto Facebook in 2008. But, Anne, you know yourself what it was like here in 2008. The recession was kind of looming, but it wasn't quite happening yet. And although initially I did do a lot of cover teaching in secondary English, by 2009, the writing was pretty much on the wall. And I hadn't understood the Irish system, and that it was such that you had to be 4 years in a permanent role before you got to be permanently employed. So I kind of thought, well, I teach, I can teach effectively, and I love it. Possibly moving into adult learning and education might be a way to go. And I very luckily met a lady who had been obviously in her previous career, she had specialized in designing training materials for corporates and delivering presentations and soft management skills to the corporates. And her business had obviously taken a bit of a dive, because that's the kind of thing that got budget cuts, is no more than the education budget. And so I met her very fortuitously, it turns out, because, she said to me, well, why? I'm looking for somebody to help train, and it sounds like you've got good teaching skills. But I said, but I'm not a digital person. Now, there is me thinking about my arty, drama, English, history, technology wouldn't be my number one thing. But she said, no, that's great, because it means that you'll understand a lot and ask questions. And so she said, come and start the course on the Monday night and come in and help me teach it on the Tuesday. So I literally was thrown into the world of technology, which, and I think has done me a favor, because I kind of understand, I don't use jargon, I understand all the pitfalls that people encounter when they say, and it amuses me really, because, I'll see people who they're certainly, they're kind of in their 40s and they're going, well, this is all a bit beyond me. It's for the, and I go, I promise you it's not. If I can do it in my, the age I'm well in my 50s, I can certainly, when I was really getting going with my career, I said, I can certainly make sure that you in your 40s will understand it. But it's about just, I think, in fact, as you said yourself, there sometimes is no plan. You just take where the universe directs you and you embrace it. And I think if you really want the highest good for yourself and you really want the highest good for whoever you're encountering, I think you can't really go wrong. Well, I'm hoping so anyway.
No, you can't. And I think the secret is to say yes. If an opportunity comes, you could easily have said no to her. It's too daunting. It's not my speciality. When I was asked to do RTE Showhouse all those years ago, Anna, I should have said no. Instead, I said yes. And where did that land me? You have to say yes, even if you have to make it up as you go along, because with life experience behind us, we are so capable. We have capabilities that we don't even realize we have. Lots of the ladies coming in here. Geraldine Kilmartin, that's a new name to me. Is that one of your ladies?
Yes. Hi, Geraldine. Lovely to see you on. Yeah. And she's another inspiring lady who has thrown herself into her passion of art and also a new career for her. And it's going so well, which is super to see.
Well, I had a lady on here, Sheila Burn, an amazing artist in her 70s, well into her 70s, who took up painting again during lockdown, and her work is stunning. I bought some. I'm encouraging everybody to buy her art. So it's never too late. It's absolutely never too late.
It is special. And there's something about creativity, because I paint in oils a lot in my spare time. And there is something about the creative zone that you go into when you are involved in any form of the arts, and even something as creative as your field of expertise, Anne. And I think it just unleashes, a whole new kind of section of your brain or something. But, and it's so interesting to see during the lockdown, people did take to arts and crafts in a way that they've never done before. And I think too, that a lot of people looked around their homes and they just saw the need for you and the need to upgrade, because our homes and our aesthetic space for so many of us are, what makes us feel happy.
I know that so many of the ladies here, and I'm glad to say there's over 10,000 of them now. It's absolutely wonderful, beyond amazing. And they have upgraded their homes, and they've said they found it mindful, it distracted them, it was practical, loads of inspiration coming here, because way back over a year ago, when I, on a whim, decided I was going to do a Facebook Live, and then I said I'll do it every day till lockdown is over. I know.
Commitment to make.
Didn't realize, had no idea that it was going to take as long as it has, and how evolved it's been. But then recently I thought, you know what, things are gearing up again. I'm not going to be able to do it. So last week I think I did one live, and this week I did one live, and I was at the Fishmongers 2 days ago. And somebody that I know well came up to me and she said, Anne, please don't stop. So do you know what? I'm putting it out here publicly now. I'm going to do 3 lives a week. I probably will do one over on Instagram. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I absolutely don't know how I'm going to do it. So if anybody has suggestions for guests, or Anna, if you have any suggestions for guests or topics, do let me know.
But I think what's so lovely, Anne, is to see that, you're obviously showcasing your own expertise, but you brought in so many people who are adding value to just whatever it is. As I said, even discussing things like where we are in life and what we can do to reinvent ourselves, or to, as you said, let's just take things that come in our way. So whatever the universe has been sending you has worked so well for you so far. So I don't see any reason for you to be ending it at this stage. Go with it.
Do you know something, Anna? And this is the truth. Last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, Nora Casey asked me to write an article for Woman's Way. And I said, of course, I'd love to. And I mistakenly thought it was for last week's paper or magazine, and it wasn't in it. So I actually said to my husband, this is where the self-doubt hits all of us and creeps in. And I said, you know what, Neil, it probably wasn't good enough. I actually said that to him. And then Trish Collins, who's here now today, another Galway girl, she sent me a message on Monday night saying, fab article, lovely. And I nearly died. I couldn't believe it, because I just thought, because I didn't see it on the day I thought I should have seen it, I thought it's not good enough.
Yeah, I
think
think
we down immediately.
We are our own worst enemies, aren't we, really?
Why do we do it? Why do we do it?
It's also a little bit, and the thing is, it can be something as a voice in your head, or something that's self-sabotaging. And I think we kind of need to just have that self-belief, that core belief that what we do is good and what we offer is valuable. And I think, look, it's very affirming when you get feedback, as well as I know you've had, and I mean, you're constantly getting accolades and feedback, but I think that's great. So I do love it, when I've given a class or something and people give me the positive feedback, because then you think, well, stop doubting yourself. If you've been of value to somebody, even if it's just one person or a few people on a given day, then that voice in our heads has to be stopped. It's that simple, and it's about feel the fear and do it anyway, isn't it, really? I mean, I know all these things are cliches, but they're cliches for a reason.
I wonder, is it the way we were brought up?
Yes.
Anna, wasn't it? But is it a generational thing? I don't think my boys have this to the same extent that I do.
I think it is. And as we were chatting the other evening about, people being reluctant to, should we say that lovely French term, people of a certain age, or women of a certain age, are reluctant often to promote themselves personally, which of course is probably to do with the fact that you were told you were vain if you were always talking about yourself, or always talking about your business, or talking about what you did, and to let other people promote you rather than yourself. Now that's all flipped now, because generations coming up behind us have no problem at all in actually saying, do you know what? I know I'm good at what I do, or I think my product's really good, so I'm going to come out and tell people just how good it is. And they're doing it. And we can embrace that as well. And I think it has to be about coming out from under our stone, because as I say to so many of the people, because I'm fortunate enough, and really it's worked so well on Zoom, is to, do a few classes for the local enterprise offices, mostly in Galway and in Monaghan, but I'm in the panel of experts for Galway and for Limerick. So I do one-to-one with people, but it's great to actually say to people, no matter what you do, okay, you are going to make it your unique, you're going to always bring your unique spin to it, because it is yours. So the only way people actually feel comfortable about, well, not the only way, but one of the most important ways, is actually to connect with the personality behind the business. So if we can overcome that embarrassment, like you have so well, about being on video and putting yourself out there and just saying, hi, this is me, this is the person behind the business, this is why I'm really excited about it, straight away that, even though it's in a virtual and in an online way, people feel they know you. And there is, and every marketing guru will endorse that, there's more of a likelihood of people wanting to do business with they feel they know, like, and trust. And, by having technology at our fingertips to actually give that personal spin is massive. It's huge. We need to go with the flow, and we need to embrace it and get over our imposter syndromes and confidence issues and all of those things. And, there always will be somebody who tries in some way to be negative, but more often than not, it will be positives. And I know Geraldine will laugh, because her very first video that I made her do about her work in her art, she just was dying with embarrassment. But now she's out there chatting on video and absolutely fine with it. And, you know, you're just connecting to a greater market, really, you know, and I think that that's, and if anyone has learned anything about the world of business on social media and promotion, it's bring yourself, your own personal spin to your product, bring your personality on board, you know, where you can.
That's fascinating. It's amazing. You hit the nail on the head. I know even within this group, there have been such beautiful friendships forged here. And from day one, this has been a really supportive, positive place of learning and fun, good days, bad days. But it's been wonderful. But if you told me a year ago, Anna, that I would be seriously considering taking most of my business online, seriously considering teaching interior design to people all over the world, I would have thought you were absolutely nuts. But I mean, already it's started.
And now during the pandemic, it's really, I think people have explored opportunities that they previously wouldn't have thought of doing. And it has done exactly that. And it's opened up a global market to people who previously only had a local one, you know. And it's about doing it. And again, it's also about having a bit of a plan, you know. So, you know, I promised I'd give some tips. So I think if anything, you need to have a goal in mind for your business, what you are, and to work backwards in baby steps from what you're trying to achieve. So if it's selling X, that's great. Or if it's promoting your business service or your products, that's fantastic. But then it's to have a content plan to reach the audience that you know is going to be ripe and keen and find your product or your service. And then when you've thought about that, and as I said, you've risen to the challenge of actually putting yourself out there personally, it's about doing a nice strategic mix. Nobody likes the dinner party bore or the business bore who talks about his business or his product or his service constantly.
Children,
you know, and I think that's it's what a lot of people find challenging, I think, is they kind of think, well, what am I going to post today on Instagram? Am I going to put up, here is another painting, or here is another, you know, example of one of our skincare products, or whatever it is that your buzz is. And I think that's the challenge. So I think you need to think about that mix, because, you know, it's not about every single day being self-promotional or doing a hard sell. It's about possibly picking 2 or 3 posts a week, you know, to actually then, you know, actively and have a call to action at the end of it. What do you want people to do? Make it clear. Do you want them to book now? Do you want them to, you know, lead them to the link? There's always that Instagram link, and change the link up. If, you know, you are a blogger and you've talked about a product in your blog, give them the URL in your Instagram bio that is going to link them straight to where they're looking, rather than you have to put as few obstacles in the path of that person and then buying your product or engaging your service as you possibly can. But it's not about every single day the hard sell. You know, a mix of humor, if it's appropriate for your brand, and think about the brand aesthetic. A mix of, if your thing is walking on the beach and enjoying sunsets, then fabulous. Post up a few of those. People will get more of an insight into your personality, you know, instead of it being every day about, this is my product, this is my service. And I think that, you know, is such an important thing, because once you know your audience and you know who you're aiming at, you're going to aim for engagement. It's not about vanity metrics. It's about actually having people talk to you. And again, you know, communication is a two-way street. You know, you need to be replying to those people as well, even if it's a thank you so much for saying you really liked my night care cream or whatever it is, or my, you know, new service that I've just offered. Always acknowledge and always start those conversations. And, you know, that's a huge part of it too, because I often see Instagram posts very beautifully curated, beautifully visuals, because obviously the visuals are so essential as well. But there'll be all of these comments that haven't been replied to. So it's almost not really, again, coming to the and showing you are a very real person behind, you know, your product or your service, you know.
I find Instagram tricky, Anna. Instagram is tricky. Any Instagram tips for any of the girls who are here?
Yeah. What are you finding the trickiest?
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is, I'm being very brutally honest. I am terrified of doing an Instagram live because I've never done one before.
but it's exactly the same as this. So you would be ace
Right.
at it. You'd be totally fantastic.
Okay. So that's my face to fear for next week. I think I will do an Instagram live next week. I find too, because everything is done on your phone, that I just find it a little bit, I don't know, maybe I need to get a bigger phone. Yeah, a little bit. I'm getting used to it. And I am liking it more now, but I did find it a bit hard, being honest.
It's also too about, if you know your audience well enough, and I say it on each and every course that I teach, if you can put your audience and try to sort of think really clearly about the client avatar that you're talking to that day. You know, I mean, I went to a wonderful marketing seminar once, and the chap said, well, even if you go to the point of cutting out a picture from a magazine and saying, that's Jane, age 36, living in Knocknacarra or whatever, with a small baby, and she's time poor, she's watching a budget, that's Jane. Then there's Mary, who's 58, and she's got some extra money now because the kids have fled the nest. You see, straight away, if you divide your audience into these very real people, that you flesh them out, you give them a name, a gender, an age, your content then becomes less problematic, because you're aiming your post that day at Jane or Mary or Peter, whoever it is, who you are going to be able to add value to in some specific way, shape, or form. And it makes life so much easier. You know, it is easy.
That would shift your mindset. So I know now I'm sending out a post to Kavina and Josephine Jeffrey and Joe Gallagher and Trish, because I can see them there, and that makes it almost as if you're talking to them.
That's exactly.
That is genius, Anna.
And if you can do that, it makes your challenge of your content so much more, you know, it's doable. Real. And really, so it really does. And it also then gets, okay, what's normally, like, I've got a lovely client in Clifton and Connemara who was saying, you know, she's got a spa, and she was saying that she's got obviously a market for, you know, older women worrying about their wrinkles and all the rest of it. Now she's got the vision of the woman, and she knows exactly who she's talking to. And she also is thinking about the teenager with her acne breakouts. And she said, you know, because she's talking to them in her post, she gets that very real response. And you know, that does help. And of course too, the mystery of hashtags, you know, a lot of people, and really, again, I'm going to say possibly people of our generation, you know, as a kind of think hashtags are some sort of strange social media affectation, but they're so, I mean, essential to include with your post captioning, because for a start, if you're going to say put in a hashtag like interior design, Instagram will tell you straight away, and I'm sure it has told you. I'm looking to see, actually, I'm going to pop onto my Instagram just to see how many people use the hashtag interior design. You see, because, you know, if you didn't put hashtags under your post would only appear once. So if you can think that you've got to please two people or two things when you go online, and one is the Marys, the Janes, the Susans, the Adeles, and the other are those bots, those spiders that crawl around behind looking for keywords, and hashtags are keywords. They're keyword terms. So if you're going to be, say, and I'm going to just do a quick search here, and I'm going to look for interior design. Okay, so I think I have it up. So I've got interior design and the hashtag, and it's 121 million posts. So if you're going to use a hashtag like interior design, you'll very remotely and very unlikely be found under that hashtag only, because you're competing against over 120 million others who are using it. So if you go looking, and of course you should all be following the hashtags that are in your particular field of expertise. So whether it's interior design or, you know, skin care, you jump onto, you see on Instagram, if you jump onto your Instagram and you go into your little magnifying glass and you hit search, and you'll see when a little search box will open up on top, and you're going to see, if you're doing it with me, that you'll see top. Okay, and you can all be doing it with me if you've got your smartphones handy, which I hope you have. So you'll see top, then you'll see accounts, and then you'll see tags under your search bar. Have you got it? Are you with me, Anne? Yeah?
I'm still
getting into your
distracted by a message. I'm sorry. Where is the magnifying glass? Got it. Yeah. So what do I do?
Press in and press in interior design, and then choose the option to go into tags.
Okay. Yep.
So now you see, it will tell you, Instagram tells you how competitive those tags are. But if
Wow.
you put in interior design, Donegal, aha. Now we've got what I should imagine. Hold on, let me see it. There's only 169 posts. So you'd be crazy not to use that hashtag
Oh, and
because
not one of them is mine. Not one of them is mine because I didn't ever use it.
unless people knew they were looking for Room Junkie and Tui, when they're doing that search, they'd be looking for an interior designer in Donegal. So they'd go in, what they type in is interior design Donegal, and you can see 169 posts. And if we press that hashtag, you should be following it, by the way, and I'll follow it too now. You will see all these really rather lovely interiors that are coming up, but none of them, as you said, is used. So you would be overlooked. And even though you would be using religiously the hashtag interior design, you've got about as remote a chance as a snowball in hell of being found on that hashtag. But you will be found on small ones. But you see, you can use up to 30 at a time. And Instagram, by the way, do penalize you if you use the same ones every single time. So don't do that. Make it a mix. And a lovely little hack I've got for you is sit down one miserable day, like this afternoon, for example. Yeah, like today, and actually go through that hashtag search and try to find a mix of tags that you think would be applicable to your area. Interior design, interior styling, style your room. You can come up with as many, I'm sure, as there are, jolly Sundays you can come up with. And then when you found the numbers, do a mix of the higher numbers and the low-hanging fruit, less competitive tags, and then place them, do a copy and paste, write them into your notes, into the notes app on your phone, so that you have them there, and mix up the order of them even, so that the next time you jump into your post, all you have to do is hop over to your notes, do a copy and paste, and pop them under, and you have them without that onerous doing it every time, searching through every time, and you'll be good to go.
Every single time I have posted something on Instagram, I have meticulously, individually written every single hashtag every single time. Good Lord, I'm learning so much. Kavina's saying the same. I'm learning so much. What a great thought process for many situations. Fascinating, especially think it may help with my anxiety of social situations. Okay, that's, what? I'm going to tell the girls I have something up my sleeve that's going to help us all with our mindset, because it's something that I believe in. So do you, Anna. I know that it works, and I know there are tools that you can use to get yourself from here to here. So more on that later. Roz is saying, funny enough, Anne, I was going to ask you for a list of tags you'd like us to use with your posts. How sweet and kind, Roz. Well, do you know something? When I get going on Instagram, which will be next week, I will certainly give you a list of tags. Roz is way ahead. She actually got in touch with me last week. This is the sort of group we have here. And she said, Jason O'Callaghan, who's a psychologist in Dublin, was on this morning show on ITV with Philip Schofield and that lovely blonde-haired girl. And it was about, he decluttered 95% of his home. And she tried to get in touch with them to tell them about me. Now, isn't that just gorgeous? Absolutely beautiful.
And you've inspired so many people. I'm still sitting there with these black plastic bag sitting in my attic that I need to get rid of, that I haven't yet, because every time I go near a clothes bank, they're overflowing. But that's huge. So the hashtag thing is, as I said, a lot of people don't realize how very powerful it is to use them correctly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up my little 21 top tips on Instagram for everybody to actually just enjoy, because it's one of my little giveaways. The other thing too is, to always think about the fact that you need to create value, whether it's in some, with your posts. As I said, the hashtag is the technical thing, but even if the value is, I'm going to think, get inside the mindset of people in my profession, or people who follow me in the middle of the week. People that won't always be in your profession, and in the middle of the week, it's hump day. I mean, of course, we do know COVID and lockdown threw everything upside down, and nobody has a predictable work life anymore. But usually, you see, the insights on Instagram will tell you exactly when your followers are online and what gender they are and what age they are. So it's gold for you. You need to kind of look at your metrics and think about all of that. So, and then try and think about, okay, Wednesday, middle of the week, they're going to, let's have a little bit of a Wednesday wit or something lighthearted, or so if it suits your brand, of course, you know, and it's also makes it less of a challenge for you to come up with content. If you've got a good mix of what I call the soft posts with the hard sell posts, which are, buy now, this is my product, this is what we're all about. It make it all about them, you know, no more than, as I said, the dinner party bore or the business bore who talks about himself or herself and never turns around and says, and by the way, what do you do? You know, what are you interested in? And that's what you're doing. You're flipping it. You're actually saying, and ask your followers, what would you like to see more of? And you do that all the time. You're such a shining example of it. You're always saying, what would you like more of? But it's something we can all learn from you. So, you know, we can all actually just, you know, do what it is that we're being prompted already by the people who do like what we do to do it.
Gold in what you're saying, Anna, because I learned a very valuable lesson. I thought I knew what my guys wanted to learn about. And then I asked, and what came back? And some of the most successful and most watched video posts have been suggestions that I would have thought were actually too easy, that most people would have known, because I would do it in my sleep without even thinking. But yet this was a challenge, a real challenge in people's homes. And if I hadn't asked, I would have never, ever known. Here's somebody saying something lovely about you. Love listening to the South African accent. My sister lives in East London. COVID prevented, you know where that is, obviously. COVID prevented us meeting up last year. No plans for this year yet. Very informative chat, learning it here. I'm learning more than anybody. Bronwyn Walsh is saying, brilliant suggestions, hashtags. Does it make a difference if you use capitals at the start of each word in hashtags or not? E.g. interior design Donegal, all lowercase, or interior design Donegal capitals?
No, it doesn't, but be guided by Instagram. Have a look before you pick the hashtag, what Instagram tells you that the hashtag looks like and how many people are following that hashtag. Plus, you would be surprised at the benefit you're going to get from following best practice in your own area. So who are the people you admire? How are they doing it really, really well? Because remember, Instagram's global. So you can find somebody who is not your direct competitor, and you will find them on a search like interior design or interior styling or something. And they're going to not be, you know, your competitor, but you might come across them and you might like what they do. And, you know, and for you also, like you said, it's so interesting how people are asking you things you do in your sleep, but it's because you become so confident in your own area of expertise that I think we often don't realize that people, you know, we take it for granted that people will know something that they don't know, in other words. And I think that's what is a lesson we can all learn. So it's to sit down with your pen one day and jot down the most frequently asked questions in your area of business that you are being asked. Then start to form your content into themes around those most frequently asked questions. And of course, too, you're going to be guided by that audience, that client demographic that, you know, I talked to you about the client, the Marys or the Susans and their different ages and their different needs at different times of life. So you see, you're going to think, well, this week is going to be all about Susan, and next week will be a Mary week, and then which hashtags would be right for them? What would their problems be? How can I add value? And it's amazing whether it's, you know, and then it helps you focus your thinking as well. And instead of your content being all over the shop, it's going to be following, first of all, achieving your end goal, and then adding the value all the time for that potential client or customer. And as I said, the hashtag thing, Instagram takes the mystery out of it. Do your search, press your little magnifying glass, press tags, and do a mix of the low hanging fruit and the more competitive hashtags. And, you know, that's the way to get your content spread right across. And you'll be delighted. I sold my first painting on Instagram, actually, and I was over the moon delighted. And in fact, the lady has since become a really good friend, and she has got an amazing blog, which of course would totally suit all of us at this stage of our life. She's a retired teacher, and she's called her blog Over the Hilda, and she's on Instagram. Oh, I've heard of it, yeah. And a shout out to Hilda, who does deal with not only fashion and style, but life issues and things as well. So, yeah, and often people don't, while I'm talking of Insta, people don't realize just how powerful having a blog is, because, again, you know, I think we don't understand, well, I didn't, and that's why I'm just presuming, because I didn't, that a lot of people don't understand the lady who I did my training through, who was really astute as far as online is concerned, mentioned she had a 150-page website, which she kept adding to. And at that time, I remember saying to her, why would anybody want 150 pages on a website? But of course, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Once you own a website or a blog, it's a piece of real estate in cyberspace, okay? So that you actually will have the possibility of adding a page of content that is going to deal with a certain problem or issue or area of business, and be dedicated completely to that under that search engine search on that issue. Now, you don't read a website like you read a book. You type in a search term, you land on a landing page, you're like a bee or a butterfly, you hop up off with your nugget of wisdom, and away you go. So, of course, it stands to reason the more content you add to your website, the more you are laying claim to a very large piece of real estate in cyberspace. And there are two things that need to like you, as I said, your customer or your potential human, or the search engines that are looking constantly behind for those bots that are looking for keywords. And it's also keyword dependent, you see. So if you have your 4-page website and you never hardly add content to it, even if it looks stunning, how are people going to understand? You know, they're not going to find you unless they're given a business card. And if you add content, Google gets a little ping to say you've freshened up with content. But not only that, you can then repurpose that little piece, that blog that you're adding monthly or whatever, by putting a link to it on your Insta, into your Insta profile, putting it on your Facebook, just repurposing it. Instead of doing 10 different things, you're using one piece of content and doing it, you know, in 10 different ways.
That is so clever. Lots of comments here. White Sage Decluttering down in Cork says, lovely tips, ladies, hashtags. Roz is saying, did Anna mention that Instagram penalise a person for using the same hashtag too often, or did I misunderstand that? Yeah. If they do penalise you, how do they penalise you?
Well, by penalising, it's just, you see, if we could crack the Instagram algorithm, we would be all fantastically delighted with ourselves. So it's guesswork, a lot of it, but it's educated guesswork. And obviously in my field, I need to follow people who keep really topical with it. And what they're saying is, and you know this, I mean, first prize is that everybody sees your post organically. That doesn't happen. The social media platforms are giant advertising platforms, and they don't, you know, if you've got 10,000 followers on Instagram, you will be lucky if 70 of them see your post as they scroll down through. You know, it's not, unless they think about going into your Instagram, not everybody is going to see all your posts. For a start, there's the idea that people get tired scrolling until they come up to your post anyway. They might be following lots of people, and you know it moves quickly. So as they scroll down through your post, they might miss your post. So your post will not appear. The magic of it is that the more engagement you encourage, the more the algorithm is pinged to actually show your post to the person who's engaged with you and you've engaged back. So that's a big plus. You need to do that. So don't just scroll idly by. Give it a like. Give it a, actually pop on and say something about it if you want that post or that person's post to appear in your news feed. But you will always see your reach. Instagram will tell you what your reach for each post is. So be guided by that. See what your posts, see which have been your best posts, which have worked best. If it's worked really well, then, it's a case of do it again, do something similar. It's worked well. You've had good engagement. Possibly you need to address another situation, but it works. Do it. If it doesn't work, don't do that again. And then, of course, also allocate a budget to do some paid sponsored, where you are going to target, because then you're going to get a wider reach. Because as I said, they're not a charity. They're there to make money. And the only way to do it is, and also make sure you spend your money wisely. Understand there's so many, all the local enterprise offices are offering courses in how to understand how to advertise on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Once you've actually got your Facebook page and your Instagram page linked, which everyone should have, then they can place your ad, in whichever area of Facebook or Instagram you want it to show up, and then you can look at those results. And great thing is, if your ad isn't working, you can pause it. So it's not a massive spend, and it's very targeted.
I didn't know that you could pause an ad. Tell me this: are Facebook boosts a waste of time?
Well, the more information you give Facebook about how to boost your post, the more effective it's going to be. If you just hit the boost now, it's going to be a little bit like flinging a whole lot of mud at the wall and hoping some of it will stick, and some of it might and will. It'll definitely increase your reach. But you need to have in mind when you craft that post, like today, this ad is going to reach Mary, and this is my objective, and this is my aim. And Mary is going to be a woman living in Dublin. And you're going to tell Facebook that you're looking for, this is your where you're heading. This ad wants to be Dublin or London or wherever it is, and this is the age group it's in, because it'll automatically default to 18 to 65. Now that's too vast. An 18-year-old is not going to be looking online for the same things that an older person is looking for. So you need to feed that information to Facebook, your audience's interests, your audience, give Facebook or Instagram as much information about your demographic, and then they'll be able to place your post appropriately. And then you'll see your results, because a lot of people say it doesn't work, but then it's only as going to be as good as you feed it, sort of thing, So yes, it is great and it's very targeted, but you have to have some knowledge about what you're doing.
Interesting. Actually, on a Sunday morning, I always do my Facebook insights, and I never do Instagram, but it's fascinating. And I know exactly who's here. My group are literally 25 to 55, but more sort of 30 to 55 homeowners, mostly female, with an interest in style and fashion and lifestyle and homes. And that's why I diversified a little bit, because I trained as a nurse, Anna, so women's health particularly interests me. In fact, I'm going to say something because I really want to get this out there. An awful lot of people suffer from tinnitus, that ringing in the ear, which is horrendous. There is no cure for it, and it causes distress, it causes mental illness. My husband actually has it, I don't know, and he never complains about it. But I have come in contact with a doctor in the UK who used to work with the RAF and the pilots, and they have devised, they've developed an app, and it sounds fascinating. So if anybody has any family member who suffers from tinnitus, next Thursday I'll be talking to Dr. Ed here. So please have your questions. I'm going to really push this a bit, because it's something that nurses and doctors don't even know much about, and it's so people who have it just feel helpless because there is nothing that they can do except just get on with it. So that's next Thursday. Sorry, that was an aside. But somebody else is saying it's White Sage again. Trish Collins has it for years. Well, Thursday at 3 o'clock, definitely, Trish. Great questions. This chat has definitely been one of the most educating. My brain cells are fired up due to learning so much. Thanks a million, Anna. Is amazing. I know she's amazing. I've thought she was amazing from the first minute I came across you, Darren. Really? Of course. Yeah.
And as I said, it's amazing how you kind of meet people online that even though we've threatened to meet up in person so many times. I think we were going to do it, and then COVID happened. But look, we will do it, because, as I said, there's so much about a person you can tell just from, and that's another thing you all need to remember. Your vibe attracts your tribe. No matter what you do online, people who resonate with you in some way, shape, or form will find you. And not everybody is for everybody. There's going to be people out there who won't, you won't resonate with, and that's okay too. So it's just about, you will attract in, you will bring in those customers or clients or people who want to work with you, because, something about you has obviously caught their attention and they found it valuable. So yeah, and that will apply to each and every one of you, not just us. But as I said, your vibe attracted me, and right from the very beginning. So
I'm going to write that down. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Well, that's just pure genius. Trish is saying, wonderful session. Learned so much listening to Anna. Thanks again for hosting. Shirley saying, brilliant, Anne. I got it last year. I was very distressed about it. That's the tinnitus. Yeah, please, if you know anybody, if anybody knows anybody, this is one that I really want people to watch, because it could literally change your life. Yeah. Oh, Anna, I could keep you here all day long.
Great. But you know what, I definitely...
Now, here I have something to ask. It's like a mini course in digital marketing. Thank you, Anna. And if somebody wants to get in touch with you, Anna, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
On Instagram, Anna my Instagram is Flint Ireland. I also have got my annademart.ie, and in fact, that's another thing about Instagram, that people are quite focused. They don't want to, if you've got a personal one, which is great, and you want your puppies and kids and children on those, that's great. But for your business one, keep it separate and have a separate vibe about that, so, and also make it quite focused around whatever your brand values or what you stand for, your own, so have those separate. However, at the same time, your friends are always going to be your first line of support. So tell your friends about it, share your posts every now and again from your business to your friend page, because friends do support friends, and friends also recommend other, they'll say, oh gosh, who did your house? Oh, Anne did my house, was absolutely stunning. And it's word of mouth, as you know, is powerful. So don't be afraid to ask your friends either to celebrate and to market what you do. So yeah, Flint Ireland is where you'll find me, and Flint, your creative catalyst. See, in fact, actually, I'm becoming better known by my name, which is, as I still stuck to the name that I actually, my first husband's name, even though I'm now married to a lovely Irishman who I've met.
I was just going to say that. You have to tell them the happy ever-ending story. But Anna de Marigny is such a beautiful name. We should keep it. It's really just pure luck, really. As I said, in 2011, I met the man who I'm now married to. So, it was meant. Mum passed in 2013, and I often wonder, it was so lovely that I could actually spend the last 6 years of my life with her, or her life rather with her. But I often wonder what would have happened had I not met him. And he's a darling, by the way, in every single way he could be. But if I hadn't actually been able to not only reinvent my career, but obviously find, the gift, it is a gift of a happy marriage as well, so yeah. Great, nice to have a beautiful story, and couldn't happen to a lovelier lady. Shirley saying thank you. So guys, this is our one and only live for this week. I will be back next week. I will be back Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I have no idea how I'm going to do it. I know I've got Dr. Ed on Thursday, and we'll probably have an interiors expert, and maybe just me in one of the days. And I will definitely dip my toe into Instagram, because you've given me the nudge, Anna. I know that's where I need to be, so that's where I'm going to be. So face your fear. But I think the takeaway, say it again, your tribe attracts your vibe attracts your
vibe. So, yeah, it definitely does.
Love that. But you're right. I've often thought, people talk about competition. There's actually no such thing as competition, because we're not all the same. And I don't fit everybody doesn't suit me, but when the fit is right, it's exceptional, and that's what you want. So there's enough to go around for everybody. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say a massive thanks, Anna, and everybody else, stay safe.
Link to your Room Junkie, you can possibly put it in your Room Junkie profile, and I'll put it in my own as well for anybody who wants to hop onto Flint Ireland on Insta and follow me. Just that PDF with the 21 top tips, so you can access that, anybody for the next week or so. I'll leave it up there.
Oh, that is so kind and generous, Anna, and I will definitely check it out. So thank you so much. You've been just the most wonderful guest, just as I knew you would be. And Tree, we could have kept you talking and listening to you for the next couple of hours. Maybe another time.
Thank you very much. And lovely. Thank you for asking me to be on the show. As I said, it's an honor, because you've had some seriously impressive guests, and I think I was thinking, what could I offer that you've covered so many topics.
And some of the girls said this was the most interesting talk, fascinating talk today, Emer Kelly. It's like a mini course in digital marketing. So there you go. But I've been blessed, and nobody really has said no to me. Most of the people I've asked, some of them are incredibly busy, some of them, but they're coming down the road, and it's fantastic. It's just brilliant. Brahman is saying, thank you so much. Learned so much today. Oh, listen, go and check her out. Flint Ireland.
And on Facebook, Flint, your creative catalyst. So I'd love a follow, guys, or any question you have personally. As I said, I'm always facilitating courses for the local enterprise offices, and I can let you know when the next courses are coming up. So
fantastic. Okay, and I'll pop your links here as well too, so that they don't get lost. No excuse not to find you, Anna. Thank you so very much. So to everybody else, stay safe, stay fabulous. I shall be back here live on Tuesday at 3 o'clock with a surprise. Okay, over and out. Thanks, Anna.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye.